You know, everyone warned me that hiring from overseas was going to be a nightmare. Basically, that I was going to get scammed. Or they can never be trusted with anything more than basic level customer service. 3 years and over $100,000 in salaries later, my 3-person team, all based in the Philippines, run my Amazon business that does $1 million a year in revenue. It took me 1,000 days to realize building a great team has nothing to do with what country they're from. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how I built and maintain a team from the Philippines that run my 7-figure Amazon business. I started hiring overseas in 2021 to get more out of my day. And while I found it was much different than what I was used to, I love turning it into a real business rather than me just working on the same low-level tasks every day. Now I've helped plenty of other Amazon sellers and entrepreneurs build great teams overseas that they actually enjoy working with. They can free up their time to work on the highest leverage tasks with a way better ROI than hiring from the US. So I found my first VA around 2021, end of 2021 through online jobs, as most people do find their VAs from. I think I got, a couple hundred applications or whatever and just was overwhelmed with all of them and was like emailing a couple people and I was like, yeah, you sound cool. Hopped on a Skype interview. I remember it lasted 5 minutes. She was like, is that all the questions you have? And I was like, yeah, I think this is good to go. Obviously did not last very long. I think it lasted like a month, maybe max. Mostly my fault because I didn't know what I was looking for and I didn't know how to vet properly. But I was suddenly exposed to like, oh wait, this is like a real thing I can do. I can actually hire someone from the Philippines to help me with my business. It was definitely a valuable experience for me figuring out like what doors this opened, but I knew that first one was not the right one. And then a couple months later, I started on using Upwork and I actually got super lucky with Christelle. I found her in like February of 2022. She's my team captain to this day. I don't think I knew what I was doing at all when I hired her, so I think that was just a luck hire, but I'm very fortunate to have her. And then throughout that year and then into 2023 and 2024, I continued hiring and firing until I narrowed down what I wanted my team to look like and also what my vetting process would be to find the right person for me. So now when I hire, I'm really focused on high character because a lot of this stuff is very process driven. I'm a very process driven operations person, so I have a lot of stuff already in Notion for them and like Loom videos. So basically I just look for someone that has great character, great attitude, someone that I can build up to be something great. I've talked about this before, but I found that when I hire for experience, well, one, that you got to pay premium for the experience, which I wouldn't want to do if I can already just have the processes in place. But then also I'm blinded by their experience and don't look at the character that they have. So now my focus is really for the Amazon business is on finding people that I think have a lot of potential and I can get them at a fair value for both of us. My vetting process is the same that we do for our clients in Talented. It's basically like the first application with the video response, then we have a mock scenarios next, then is going to be the initial interview, and then the follow-up interview with my team captain. With the brand that we've now built in the online Filipino community, I have a lot of brand channels like our newsletter, our ad campaigns, and just like Facebook groups where I can easily pull talent from. Especially ones that have watched my videos and understand the kind of person that I'm looking for. So we would attract those high performers, high achievers. So that first hire that I made back in 2021, it was an admin role. And I'm happy that I started with that admin role. I think a lot of people try and jump into this like, oh, I don't know how to do this thing, so I'll just hire a virtual assistant to do it. And that leads to a myriad of issues. For my own team in the beginning and for our entrepreneur clients that are hiring for the first time, I usually recommend them to start off with delegating things that they already do. With virtual assistants, especially if you don't have any experience with leading a team before, starting off is just a way to free up your time and delegate rather than someone taking on initiatives, I find to be a great way to learn how to build a great team, but also so you can build that up into someone who can achieve the higher stuff with you in the future. So for my Amazon business, we start off at the foundational level, which for me is product sourcing. I usually don't tell people to do that as the first one, but I have a lot of training built out and we already have people covering the other stuff. So I start off as our foundation role, which is product sourcing, because that's the lifeblood of an Amazon arbitrage business. And over time, we just layer on. I talked about this in another video, our training pyramid. Basically, we just layer on concepts until we get up to achieving the thing that they're supposed to be knowledgeable about. After someone can fully master this skill or this section of the business and it doesn't take all their time to do it, then that's when we can start introducing more things and creating more of like a overarching role rather than just very specific. But definitely in the beginning, I'm starting off with a very specifically defined role. I'm not hiring for a VA. I'm hiring for like an admin assistant that is going to handle these specific responsibilities. I think when you have clarity on the specific things they're going to be doing for you, one, it's a lot easier to train them on it, and two, they understand what they're getting themselves into a lot better. It's also easy for you to define the value, so you can be like, okay, if I free up this time in my week, I know that I can spend that time doing these higher leverage tasks. But how long does it really take to train someone? For me, it honestly took longer than I expected it to. Like I said, when I first started hiring in 2021, I didn't have any processes in place. It was basically all just in my head. So over the years, I've had to iterate that over and over again to get it to be able to teach someone properly so they could come in with no base knowledge and figure it out quicker than the last person did. But I also have to keep in mind that, I've been in this business, my business, especially longer than anyone else has. So, it's easy for me to be like, oh, you should be getting this, you should know this, because I know it so well. But I can only imagine what it was like when I first started the business. So I kind of put myself in that frame of like, okay, they're brand new to this. I've been doing this for years. It would make sense. It would take them way longer than I expect them to. So what I think has been helpful for my team and also for our clients is to set a defined 30, 60, 90-day plan. So it's like check-ins at each of those intervals and being like, okay, are you aligning with where I expect you to be? Why or why not? And taking it from there on like a case-by-case basis. I'm really looking, when it's like I'm starting someone off, I honestly don't have these solid, like you have to meet this metric at this time for the first couple months, because I know people learn at their own rate. So I'm kind of just looking at it as, are you getting better every day? And can I see that you clearly have the attitude and are trying to get better? It's like if I see red flags that like, oh, you missed this was like pretty obvious, or like I already told you this already, then I'm not going to have any more patience. But if I see someone is continually trying and building up, I'm not quick to be like, well, you didn't catch on quick enough, so see ya. I'm looking for these people that are going to be with me for years. And so if it takes a couple months in the beginning extra to get them up to speed to where I want them to be, that's worth it for me than having to find someone new. It's like the bigger you build the foundation, the higher the building can be. Now, one thing that's been very important to me is building team culture. I think that, or at least I see a lot of entrepreneurs that think hiring from the Philippines or hiring a virtual assistant means they don't have to like follow traditional leadership. Like, oh, they're overseas. Like, I don't have to do any of that stuff. I could just, they'll just do their job. From the start, I've taken an entirely different approach where I'm like, okay, just because they're in a different country doesn't mean I can't treat them like a real team. As a leader, that's one of my responsibilities, is to build that team culture. And I've done that from the start. So these are some of the principles that I've led with. The first one is autonomy with accountability. This is more to do with like the micromanagement, but that's like a buzzword. So I prefer to think about it this way. Basically, I'm giving someone free rein to arrive at the outcome how they best see fit. And, I try to stray away as much as I can from step-by-step checklist, because anyone can do that, but I want someone who's autonomous enough to be able to be given the outcome that I want or the goal that we have and work backwards how to get there. So really focused on giving people that, that leash to be able to try stuff for themselves and fail for themselves, but still being accountable for the success. I'm still paying attention to everything they're doing, and we talk about how they could do things differently, and usually they already know how to do it differently, but basically just giving them that autonomy to problem solve on their own. Next one is to know their importance. I make it very clear to my team that I could not be doing it without them. And so I think that makes them feel a sense of value past just like, oh yeah, I'm doing this job. It's like, no, I'm actually a part of the business. It's also why I'm pretty transparent with everything in terms of like numbers. I don't keep them to their little corner. I make sure they know, look, here's how your performance is impacting the other parts of the business. So I think it gives them a sense of fulfillment for like, I am actually doing something not just for Zach, but for the business and for the other team members around me, that, my actions are helping the people around me, and it's helping me achieve my goals through like performance bonuses and whatnot. Feedback loops. These are important just in life in general, but making it clear to my team that when I give you feedback on something to change, first of all, I have to approach it properly. I can't just have a list of everything that's wrong, but that's, another topic. But basically just making sure we are in a constant loop of like how we can get better, especially with them seeing the outcomes of how things are doing. So specifically in Amazon, it's like, Okay, you have access to all the sales, so you can see exactly how the stuff that you bought and you sourced actually performed. That's like, cold hard feedback loops and through KPIs of like, here's the profit we did last month. But just making it clear to them that me giving feedback is not something to take personal. It's simply like a way for us to get better. And then also encourage it the other way, where it's like, I'm always asking, okay, what can I do differently? What do you think I could do to get feedback from them? So the feedback loop goes both ways. And the last principle I'm going to talk about is leadership serves. I don't see it like I'm a boss or like that this is my business and you're doing this for me. It's like I'm here to help you, to make your life easier so that we can both accomplish the goal that we're trying to get to. Because you're incentivized in the same way that I am. It's like the actions you take and the outcomes you produce that'll make the business do well will also come back to you. So I'm big on the leadership being a servant of the team, not the other way around. How do I keep my VA team motivated? Well, first of all, I have to figure out what actually motivates them. So that's one of the first questions I ask when I onboard a new team member is like, money is a fine answer. Just, I want to know what you're motivated by. Is it, public recognition, private recognition, money, learning more, increasing in responsibility, getting a higher title? And it's different for everyone. So I want to be able to align with how I'm motivating them with what they actually respond to, not just what I think they would. Because sometimes you'll find out that people aren't actually as motivated by money as you think they are. The other way, which kind of ties into how they are, is building a positive environment. So somewhere that they want to go to work every day. They see it as like more than a job. It's like, oh, I'm basically gonna go hang out with my friends and also get a bunch of stuff done that will hopefully pay off in the future. So that's also through my constant communication with them. We have our game nights, our meetings, and just general checking up on them. So asking them how they are, how are things going today? How's your week going? Just on Slack, simple Slack messages. And then on the one-on-ones, it's like, what more do you have going on in your life? Do you have anything fun coming up this weekend? Just simple things like that, showing that I actually care. I found it makes my team want to show up to work more when we feel like a community rather than just workmates. So for my team, I communicate, like I said, every day on Slack, as simple as just like, how are you doing? Every week we have a game night. So this is usually like Pictionary, Scribble if you're familiar, or some other games like Shell Shocked. Basically just a time for us to connect, team building outside of work focus. Every other week we hold our one-on-ones. So I get on for like 30 minutes, depends on who it is. Honestly, we have different durations depending on the team member, but just a time for us to get a pulse check, how they're doing, how things are going, what's not going well, what I can do better for them, what they have upcoming in their personal life. And then our 2 monthly team meetings. So our first one is our KPI meeting where we go over all of the key performance indicators for the month. And that one's actually led by my admin, Danielle. And then the other one is our monthly meeting where we go over recap for the past month and then plans for the upcoming month. My team captain, Christelle, runs that one, and I actually love the format she did with it. Basically, I just gave her free reign. Again, autonomy with accountability. Like, look, I want a team meeting where we can see how we did in the past, see what to do different in the future. And she came up with this new way of making it really interactive. We're live, like everyone's inputting their things for the past month they did well and things they want to do differently in the upcoming month. It's like right there. So after 1,000 days of hiring from the Philippines, here's the biggest things that I've learned. The first one is basically you get out what you put in. How you treat your team is going to be how they treat you and your business. If you never talk to them, if you really don't treat them like a team member, you treat them like a VA, then that's what you'll get back. They're not going to care much about the business. They're not going to put much extra initiative in. And they really are just there to clock in and get the 8 hours. So for me, I have a large focus on treating my team well because I know it'll come back to serve me. And the second biggest takeaway is it's about how you come as a leader. Again, leadership serves. I don't try and put myself on a pedestal. I'm not doing this for the ego. I do whatever I can to make it easier for them to accomplish their goals because their incentives are aligned with mine. So the way that I treat them as a leader will dictate how they achieve their goals. So I hope this has been helpful in explaining what 1,000 days of hiring from the Philippines has taught me. So if you want to hear more, hit the subscribe button down below and I'll see you in the next video.